Okay, so we're on Daf Dalet Amud Aleph, starting from the words LeDavid Shomar Nafshi. It's 3 lines from going 3 lines down from the wide lines. Gemara says that David Shomar Nafshi ki Chasidani. So David is asking from Hashem to have extra protection. Why? Because he's a chassid, he's a righteous, he's pious, so he deserves to get a special protection. And the Gemara brings 2 ways of explaining his righteousness. Levi and Rabbi Yitzchak, they both argue. This is what David said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ריבונו של עולם, לא חסיד אני? הרי כל מלכי מזרח ומערב ישנים עד 3 שעות, ואני חצות לילה אקום להודות לך. So one of the rabbis says that, look how great I am, look how righteous I am, because when all the kings of the east and the west are sleeping another 3 hours into the day, I wake up at midnight to praise you and to thank you. So, as opposed to other kings that have their time sleeping, I wake up, right? And I thank you. So I'm pious, I'm righteous. The other rabbi says, this is what David was saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. ריבונו של עולם, לא חסיד אני, שכל מלכי מזרח ומערב יושבים אגודות בכבודם. ואני ידיים מלוכלכות בדם ובשפיר ובשליה, כדי ליתן אישה לבעלה. He says that all the kings are sitting in groups. All the kings of the west and the east are sitting in groups and having this in the glory and the palace, but in the company of others. And I am sitting and I'm soiled my hands with blood, with different types of blood. As we know, there's blood that are pure, and there's blood that are impure. So all different types of blood to define if this
animal blood?
No, women's blood. To define if this lady needs to, not just Nida, but when she gives birth, the placenta, all these examples that the Gemara brings here, which shows that David HaMelech was kind of really careful and looking carefully to see what is pure and what is not pure in order to permit this lady to be with her husband. ולא עוד, אלא כל מה שאני עושה, אני נמלך במפיבושת רבי. הוא אומר לי, מפיבושת רבי, יפה דנתי, יפה חייבתי, יפה זיכיתי, יפה תיארתי, יפה תימתי, ולא בושתי. And not only that, additionally, every halacha, I'm not embarrassed to ask Mephibosheth, my rabbi. So I'm not embarrassed, I'm a king, I'm a great sage, I'm a great person, I know a lot of Torah, yet I'm not embarrassed to ask Mephibosheth questions and to ask him if it's pure, it's not pure, if he's liable, not liable, is exempt, not exempt. No, all those 6 questions, I was not embarrassed. So even though I'm a king, but I was asking Mephibosheth questions to make sure that I'm making the right halachic decision. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yoshi bered Rabbi Idi. Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Edi, say, Ma'ikra. From where do we learn that David HaMelech was asking questions? From where do we learn that he was not embarrassed to ask questions? The Gemara says, I will speak your testimonies, I will speak your laws against the kings. Against kings here means asking the kings here, it means Malchei Rabbanan. The rabbis here consider kings like Mephibosheth, and I was not embarrassed to ask questions. The Gemara now will ask, why are we calling him Mephibosheth? Tana, לא מפיבושת שמו, אלא איש בושת שמו. ולמה נקרא מפיבושת? שהיה מבייש פני דוד בהלכה. ולפיכך זכה דוד ויצא ממנו כלאב. Gemara says, his real name was not Mephibosheth. His real name was Ish Boshet. That's his name. That was his name.
There were 2 different people.
Yeah, and there's an argument if it's
Like one Shaul's son.
If it's Shaul's son or if it's Yonathan's son, meaning his grandson of Shaul. Yeah, we're not sure exactly. There's an argument who exactly was Mephibosheth. But the reason why we call him Mephibosheth, because he will embarrass David HaMelech with his mouth. Mefi is his mouth. Boshet is embarrassment. Mefi, Boshet. Embarrassing him with his mouth. Okay? How did he embarrass him? Because David HaMelech sometimes will make mistakes and he will correct him, and he was not. It was some embarrassment to David HaMelech. But there's a paycheck. What's the paycheck? David, at the end of the day, he had a great grandson that came out from David HaMelech, and that's Kil'av. Gemara says, "V'amar b'Yochanan lo Kil'av shmo, ela Daniel shmo." His real name was not Kil'av. His real name was Daniel. Why did everyone call him Kil'av? He would also, the same idea with Mephibosheth, he would machlim, he would embarrass the Mephibosheth when he would argue with him, and he will always win by showing him different sources. So he was a great Torah sage, and he knew how to fight. He was a good opponent, say, to Mephibosheth. Okay.
Oil.
And we're calling him a Mephibosheth, and we're calling him a Kil'av because it's from the word kol. Kol, it was embarrassing. That's kol. Av, it's referring to Mephibosheth, that he was the master, he was the father of the Torah, so to speak, of teaching. I mean, he would call, embarrass the Av. This is what Shlomo Melech said in Mishle. Bni.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are we saying that Mephibosheth and Klav, they're two different people, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I got a little confused.
No, it's all
These
good.
names-
There's two different people. Mephibosheth was the as we mentioned before. There's an argument who exactly was Mephibosheth. Some say he was the son of Yonatan, and some argue and say he was the son of Shaul, the King Shaul, King Saul. And so that's the argument that we have. And David HaMelech was always asking questions, but he was not embarrassed to asking questions, but because this great attitude, the great thing of asking somebody, and he's a king, so Hashem paid him reward that he should have also a grandson that will be a great person, Kil'av, that he will be a good opponent, he will be a good one to argue with Mephibosheth, and kind of also embarrass Mephibosheth with his knowledge.
Okay.
That's what Shlomo HaMelech was saying, that he was a son, right? Beni, Kil'av was a son. Beni, im chacham libcha yismach li b'gam ani. So if you are wise, I will.
But his real name was
Daniel. So Shlomo HaMelech says, Beni, im chacham libcha yismach li b'gam ani. V'omer, chacham li beni, yismach li bi v'ashiva chofi davar. So Shlomo HaMelech will say, if you are wise, it makes me happy. And also, the second pasuk is saying, Chacham Beni, my son is so wise and knowledgeable, and I'm so happy, I'm gladdened, and you should answer those that embarrass me. Those that embarrass me, you give all good answers for those that embarrass my father. Okay? The Gemara says, so far we learned now why David HaMelech was called, why was he Chassid? Two examples. Two reasons. The Gemara says, David, mi kara nafsheh Chassid? We have a different question, is how can we say that David called himself righteous, pious, when there's a pasuk that will contradict this idea, this statement? Vaktiv, lulei manti li'od b'tuv Hashem be'eretz Ahaim. What is lulei manti li'od b'tuv Eretz Ahaim? בתנא משפט רבי יוסי, למה ניקוד מעל לולא? אמר דוד לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, ריבונו של עולם מובטח אני בך שאתה משלם שכר טוב לצדיקים לעתיד לבוא, אבל אני יודע אם יש לי חלק ביניהם אם לאו. So the Gemara says that David HaMelech was not sure if he will be among the righteous people sitting in Gan Eden. לולא האמנתי לראות בטוב השם בארץ החיים. Rabbi Yossi says that's why there's dots. If you open Tehillim, you see dots on top of the word luleh, meaning that David was doubtable. He was not sure if he will have the merit to sit among the righteous people in the world to come. So David HaMelech has this safek, this doubt. That's explicitly what it says. The Gemara says, "Muftach ani b'chal she'ata mishalem tzedakah l'tzadikim l'tidavo." I'm pretty sure I know that you're going to pay the righteous people in the world to come for all the mitzvot, all those commandments that they followed in this world. But I don't know if I'm going to be part of them. So if David HaMelech was not sure if he's a righteous or not, so how can he testify himself? How can he say that he's pious, he's righteous, when the pasuk Lulei Manti says that he was not sure about it? It was not clear to him. The Gemara says, Shema Gromachet. David HaMelech says, I know I'm righteous, I know I'm pious, but I still have this doubt in my heart if Hashem will put me among the righteous people in the world to come, because maybe I will lose all this great thing of being in all the great zchut in Olam Haba, because maybe I commit a sin. As we know, a few places with the Melech.
You may know the past, but you don't know the future.
Yes, correct, and perhaps the sin will cause him to lose this great zchut in Olam Haba. And the Gemara now will bring two examples, teaching us that there was a promise from God, and yet those individuals were still concerned that perhaps the sin will nullify, so to speak, this promise. The Gemara brings first example. Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi. So it really fits what we're learning now, that the sin can cause to nullify the promise. We learn from the promise from Hashem. We learn an example from that Rabbi Yaakov bar Idi is bringing. Rame, he has a question. He brings two psukim that contradict each other. Ketiv, regarding Yaakov Avinu, our father, the pasuk says in Bereshit that I will protect you and I will guard you. Any direction you go, I will be with you. A different pasuk says, "Vayira Yaakov me'od," that Yaakov was terrified. He had this fear. One second. If Hashem is promising you that He will protect you, how can the second pasuk here say that he had this fear? How can you have this fear? Hashem has clearly promised you that He will protect you. The answer is, Amar Shema Igomachet. Perhaps I commit the sin and I will lose this special extra protection from Hashem because I perhaps commit a sin. The Gemara brings the second example of what happens when people commit sins after Hashem is promising them certain things. Ketetanya, Ad Yavor Amecha Hashem, Ad Yavor Amzukanita. So now the pasuk is predicting that there will be two times that Am Yisrael will go into Eretz Yisrael, will enter Eretz Yisrael. The first one, Ad Yavor Amecha Hashem, Zo Biyah Rishona. Am Yisrael at the time of Yeshua ben Nun are going into Eretz Yisrael. So the first one is the pasukim are predicting that's gonna take place, that's gonna happen. Ad Yavam Zukanita, the second one, Zubiyah Shniya. The second one is referring to the time of Ezra Sofer after the exile to Bavel. Then they will come back at the time of Ezra. Right, correct. Yeah, it's a prophecy. From here the rabbis learn. ראויים היו ישראל לעשות להם נס בימי עזרא, כדרך שנעשה להם בימי יהושע בן נון, אלא שגרם החטא. The fact that we have this link at the same pasuk that's mentioning that the two times where they're going to go into Israel, it looks like they are the same. But the answer is no, it's not the same. The first one, they went into Israel, was a lot of miracles, right? At the time of Yeshua ben Nun, the splitting of the Jordan River, the falling of the walls of Yericho, and so many other miracles. So it was there was abundance of miracles at the first time when they went into Israel, as opposed to the second time where there was not many miracles. In fact, they need to ask permission, special permission from the kings of Paras, from Koresh, right? And the last Daryavish, Rashi says there's two Daryavish. The last one, they asked permission in order to build the second Bet HaMikdash. So it was not so easy. So the first one, there was no permission. Yeah, against the will of all the kings in Eretz Canaan, they go inside, and if they don't want to listen, if they fight back, Hashem protects us and performs many miracles. The second one was more huh? You have to ask for permission and before you do anything. So and why is that? The difference between the first one and the second one is because there was sin. They were committing sins after the exile. At the time of Babel, of course, what led to the destruction of the first temple, and the time of Ezra Sofer, the Mepharshim explains that there was a lot of intermarriage that caused the protection, the extra protection of Hashem to be in a different way, in a way of a natural way of asking permission and so on. But but if you get close to Hashem, if we are listening to Hashem, then Hashem performs a lot of miracles. But if not, then the sins really have a strong effect and impacts the way Hashem is protecting us. Okay, so we'll stop here, and Bezat Hashem will continue with Chachamim Omrim Ad Chatzot, the last line of Daf Dalet Amud Aleph.